Like love, is that a good thing? Is it powerful? Does it matter? I mean, the shit that people do for love is everything, right? That's how I feel about brand. It's everything. But how to measure that? We think that there's an extreme underinvestment in creative, organic, and an overinvestment in media that is wasted on creative that could have been better. Money's expensive now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't own the building and see how great this concept really is. Use the location 11 minutes in, the bougie place. Treat it like your New York location and innovate on the idea.
Smart. Oh my gosh, that's genius.
Attention is the number one asset.
I know we spoke, a few months ago, so I figured I'd give you a quick recap, just kind of where we're at. We started that hospitality group. We moved down to
Ace and Jamie, by the way.
Jamie. yeah, Ace and Jamie. So we moved from New York to North Carolina in 2021. We bought 3 historic properties, converted them into boutique hotels, added some restaurants and an espresso bar in one, and
there's a Florida location, right?
We were looking. So we started the burger concept that we were looking to franchise and start in Florida. We actually stepped back on that now because the espresso bar has taken off so insanely. We're turning away 100 to 200 people a night on the weekend.
And we found the margins were really good. So right now, from an excitement standpoint, from a profit standpoint, the coffee shop / cocktail bar, it's coffee by day, cocktails by night, we're doing about $350,000 a month.
And last month we just did over 400,000. So
wow.
Yeah, so we're gonna clear
percent margins on that. Because there's no food involved, it's all liquor.
So we're running just over 30% net margin.
And you're probably starting to realize the maximizing of margin in liquor is an endless game. Get really good really fast if you keep doing it.
Yeah. And
so we were talking to the franchise company about doing the burger restaurant and realized that there's no one in the franchise space that's doing anything with the espresso coffee shop and cocktails by night. And we've been getting a lot of emails and people asking, are you franchising? Can we buy a franchise? How do we do this in Raleigh? Have
you two swallowed the concept of franchise, or meaning do you feel like you've exaggerated, do you feel like you've fully thought through if you want to be a franchisor, or do you think you're being intoxicated by the short-term value of it?
Possibly.
That's one of the questions we wanted to ask you, because we also own 90% of the real estate of all the buildings, and we were in the middle of buying another building and opening a Concord Espresso Bar location
Number 2
on the other side of town. So
should we stay private? Should we franchise? And what do you know anything about the industry, and do you have connects?
Yeah, so we wanted to pick your brain. On our minds, one side we're like, oh, speed before someone else tries to do the same thing we're doing, and then on the other side, so
by the way, I'm sure if you go to Google or ChatGPT, you'll see this. This is not the first time I've heard of coffee and cocktails.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Coffee by day, cocktails by night. There's 4 places by me, and I did it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's all execution.
Yeah.
Burger King and McDonald's and Wendy's, you have unlimited that. Don't worry. Don't do it for that reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, the answer is both work. What I'd like you to do is spend 100 hours of watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts from the perspective of franchisors who understand, it's all fun and games until the first person, and they give you money and you're all pumped and then they're complaining to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like babysitting?
No.
Then you're going to hate being a franchisor.
That's the whole point of franchising, right? But it's like a catch-22.
Of course, but fast money is seductive, but often leads to headaches.
Yeah.
So that's
great insight.
Good insight on that. And then on the other side of the equation, right? Because now franchising would become a separate thing from if we did franchise from the hospitality group. So us growing the hospitality group, and thanks for connecting us to Tony and David. We spoke to them.
So much value from them.
So we want to just pick your brain on maybe trying to duplicate what you're doing up north in the south, right? Essentially.
I think you don't need to own every piece of real estate. Obviously, real estate's a great asset, but if you feel like you got something with the coffee and cocktail, my point of view is that keep your cash. Money's expensive now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you're borrowing, you're paying higher interest rates.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a fan of, open another location in a great fucking location, like a great location. Pay the vig.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't own the building, and see how great this concept really is.
Got it.
Like if I was the third partner and we were having our meeting and I was like the elder statesman and, like I was the older brother or whatever, I'd be like, the right way to test this is to go to the best fucking location that we can fucking afford, pay the rent, high vig, but we're paying the vig because it's in the best fucking location in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah.
And let's see how good this concept really is.
So you would recommend like
You
us?
see why I like that? Because
Yeah,
that will give you context.
Yep.
If
Yep.
all of a sudden, I'll give you an example why. Let's say we pay something like we do that instead of the down payment, right, on an asset of a building across town. We now are using that cash to have like a real fucking killer spot.
Yeah.
But what if that spot's doing $1 million a month?
Mm.
Because you see the kind of location I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But also, we could see if it's doing $300,000 a month, and everyone's like, "What the fuck, Gary?" Well, we have all these other competitors here,
Yeah.
but now we learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to put all that cash down to buy the real estate to find out that lesson.
For this one exact lesson.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Best location.
Mhm.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah, I think
love it.
that's what I would do if I was the partner right now. Because you've got something. Let's really understand if you got something.
Got it.
Where would you go after hearing that from me? Where would you go?
We're looking. Well, right now we're looking for a spot. We're in Wilmington, like downtown, most of our businesses, and then there's Wrightsville Beach, which is like the more bougier side of town, Landfall, that area.
Yeah, Wrightsville Beach, I guess, would be like if we were looking at Long Island, like the Hamptons versus
Jones Beach, I
Jones
guess.
Beach, I guess.
So,
Is it a seasonal?
Except it's more populated and less seasonal.
it's not seasonal. It's just that it's
Great.
nonstop and it's growing. So we're looking for something there, and then we think 2 would be enough, and then we'd have to set our sights on Raleigh and Charlotte after that.
Yeah. So let's talk about that area. You were thinking about buying a building there?
And
in Wrightsville. Yeah, Wrightsville Beach.
Is that the Hamptons one or
that's the good
It's
part
a
of
good
town.
part of
It's
town.
the good part of town. Yeah.
are you able to get what about, what's the best, are there better locations than where if you were to rent?
There's not a lot
There's not a
available
lot
there,
available,
so it's
yeah.
kind of like you have to take what it is. The location where we would be getting is on a main road. It's very popular where it is.
So why would the building be for sale?
It used to be
Good question,
a brewery that went out of business, multiple breweries that just weren't a fit, and now the building is up for sale for that. So
Why?
Hmm.
That math was not good.
yeah,
There's no good spots to rent. But here's a good spot to buy that we can afford as small entrepreneurs. Everything smells bad to me.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I know
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
But I know something. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't want to talk you out of something that might be remarkable. I could be 100% wrong,
yeah,
but boy, does that make no sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah, it's 7 minutes from the actual beach. It's 11 minutes from the biggest area that everyone in Wrightsville Beach shops and dines.
But talk to me about that area.
Yeah.
Does that 11 minutes literally have nothing?
You know, it's like
Available, I mean, for you to open.
Yeah, right now,
I'm going to test my concept.
Yeah.
yeah.
go in that area. Skip the 11.
In that 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Go in there, like go directly in there.
Of course, you can buy 11 minutes out. You can't buy in the heart of the heart because it's way more expensive and not available.
You're right. Yeah.
If there was a spot there, I would get off what I want for you, which is to see if this is a $10 million concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best location.
Yeah.
So that being said, just because of the population here, we have a ton of Wilmington just doubled in the past 2 years. So they went from 130 to 150,000 people to 300 plus.
Is that because like all the Northeast people are moving
Just
down?
all the Northeast people moving. A lot of New Yorkers came down here for sure.
And putting a location in Wrightsville Beach would still only put us 20 minutes away from our other location.
For coffee and cocktails, that's like a century away.
Yeah, they don't really, that side of town doesn't really come to the side and vice
But
versa.
this concept, because there's no food, we are the before dinner spot and we're the after dinner spot. And we're
What about the breakfast spot?
What's that?
Are you also a breakfast spot because of coffee?
Yeah, the coffee. Obviously the majority of money, the chunk, like 80% of the money is made at night. Obviously,
We only have an agriculture license, so we get pastry delivered, and we don't really have breakfast there. We have very limited.
It's
But
croissants.
people buy coffee, right? Or no?
Yeah, coffee, croissants, like some baked goods.
But if we're doing if on a good day we'll do $1,000 in coffee, but we're doing $5,000-$6,000 in liquor.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So do you think that opening a location in Wrightsville Beach, 20 minutes away, versus going to a bigger city for best location like Raleigh?
I like, you know this. Your infrastructure right now of you being able to drive back and forth 24/7 versus like 2 hours.
Yeah.
This is why I'm pushing you to something very specific.
Yep.
You're going to be in a very competitive spot. There's plenty of other fucking places in this 11-minute spot, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Right? So, like, I assume your side of town, there's less good, like bar, like less than what would be in the heart of the 11, or no?
Actually,
there's a lot. We're kind of,
because we're in the heart of downtown. You can literally walk to everything downtown from where we are. So people will literally make a reservation, and we're reservation only, Gary. So people will make a reservation.
Are your drinks really good? Did you nail it?
They crush. They crush. Yeah, we have 20 different espresso martinis. It's a big menu.
But we also have a signature cocktail list, so it's not just espresso cocktails.
Yeah, we have like 40 different drinks on there, so it's a big variety. We do flights of espresso martinis and stuff. So
I just get really excited about staying very close, going to the heart of the competition, to Apex. I'll tell you why. If you go and crush against the most competitive best spot in your town and it's doing $700,000 a month, well, that changes how you're going to look at Raleigh.
Yeah.
True.
This data is too valuable. It's almost like if you went out of, like, if we were on Zoom and you fuck us, Gary, we opened and went out of business. I'm like, well, I didn't fuck you. We now know that you.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last little thing is in this concept, we run natural gas lines, and all of our tables are fire pits outside. And that's part of the appeal. People sit down at a fire pit table. We make homemade marshmallows, and our concept is really s'mores by the fire with espresso martini flights.
So cool.
Yeah.
And that's what makes finding the location.
Crushes the after dinner, right? You become the dessert spot.
The dessert spot. That's exactly what it is.
Really cool.
So the location that we found that we wanted to buy has a kitchen. It has the outdoor space that we can turn into fire pits. That's been our hardest thing, is finding like a place that we can
have
dig
indoor
up
and
the outdoor area,
yeah.
put natural gas lines down, and have the ideal outdoor space.
Use the location 11 minutes in the bougie place as the preview to if you have to be in New York, and innovate on the idea.
Smart. Oh my gosh, that's genius.
Right? Like, bring out the little thing in the middle of the table where people can do, like, treat it like your New York location. It makes me like this spot more. Less capital expensive.
Yeah.
Gonna answer so many fucking questions if you think you're onto something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so close to you that even if you guys are wrong, you'll will it to a decent outcome.
I love it. And we do the tabletop fire pits inside.
Well, then you just completely.
That just lines up with exactly.
You're right.
So, all right.
You're right. We just have to be creative with it. That's cool. You're right. Because how would we expand it to major cities? We're going to have the same problem. How do we find the location?
Yeah, we're not going to find
natural
outdoor,
gas
as many
lines.
outdoor spots. Yeah.
Yep. Use location number 2 to answer all the questions I would have if we are onto something.
Yeah. Done. That makes total sense.
Freaking awesome. All right, cool. I'm even more excited now.
Good.
One of the things that I told you was how I was building Social Curator. And one of the things that you had said at the time was something along the lines of, oh, we thought about building that too. And I told you, oh, I'm so glad you didn't build it, because I don't want to be in the game of Gary Vaynerchuk. And then you said something that was a classic Gary juke, which was abundance. I hope you have competitors because it makes you better.
Right.
And I never forgot that piece of advice. And when I look back at that experience, the one question I didn't ask was, well, why didn't you build it? But that's not my question today,
Right.
because shame on me for not asking that question then, but presently, when I look at what you have built, and I didn't even know the word holding company existed until 2023. And in my mind, I had this idea of something that I wanted to build. And then I'm now realizing that that is the very thing that you have built. And so knowing what you know now, would you have built the holding company? And if so, if you can go back, what would you do differently?
Great question. Yes, I would definitely build it. I'm very good at being wide open and changing my mind in micros, but holding to a strategy in macro. I knew that I wanted to build the best marketing communications company in the world that was global, and that I was open to it being a series of companies or a company. And I was never going to be overly romantic about social media, right? We started this in 2009, it's 24, we're 15 years in. I would have said in 15 years, if no one's doing social, then we're doing whatever that thing is. And I continue to do that. So I wasn't romantic about what services we did, how many companies were in the entity, if it was 1 or 100, and more importantly, not romantic about what we did, but I was romantic about being always current, right? Like, as you know, what's unique about my career is from 2006 to today, there's not a lot of people who have 18 years of on the record, publicly following the flows of innovation around attention and communication at the same level that I do. And that's really humbling and good, you know?
So what would you do differently? Like now, knowing what you know now?
I would have probably hired more people with more experience from the industry earlier. I probably didn't need to, I was so romantic. See how romance is a problem? I was so romantic of staying clean with my own intuitive ideas. I demonized people from the outside that did it the old way. And it probably wasted some time on simple things that I could have done by having people around. I mean, this is my biggest issue, period, still to this day. I would have fired faster on people I knew weren't capable. It's a real disease of mine, Jazz. I'm such a bleeding heart. It's just not good for business, and it's not good for them. Like, because it leads to nepotism and resentment, and it never ends up good anyway. I fired them eventually anyway. So that's a huge mistake of mine.
One of the conversations that I had with Andrea when I was asking, how did you court her to come into Vayner? And I think that early on, like now looking at what Vayner is, it is a formidable force in the industry. But at the time, so when I look at myself and I know that I want to hire people with experience, but they have optionality. And so what was like a key factor? Could you go back and say, identify the pattern of what?
I think you and I have the same skill, which is like, I think you'll be able to convince people to do it. Now you just can't be fixated on one boy. But how did I do it? By being okay with all the people that didn't see it. In the same way I did it when I was a boy. Every girl that I thought was cute that didn't want to be with me, in my mind, I was like, they're going to be really sad one day.
And oh, are they?
and so I think you need to take the same approach with this business. You're going to identify someone and you want Ricky Thompson, and he's going to say no. And then literally you're like, cool, next.
Oh, that feels good.
That's it.
Who should I be talking to? Who should I be aligning to? Not in regards to building a holding company that looks like VaynerX. Anybody with the idea of holding companies. Because what I want to do is, I'm not the best at coming up with new ideas, but I'm really good at spotting patterns and then identifying for my strengths and building from there. So when you look at people who've successfully built holding companies inside or outside of your industry, who is the formidable leader? Who is somebody who's creating content? Who is the person that I can learn from in regards to learning
Just as a history lesson from a M&A standpoint and the history of the game, you should definitely talk to James Orsini.
I talked to James.
Good.
So he set me up. He set me up really well for this call. Thank you.
I would say that's an interesting question. Private equity firms
Okay.
is an industry you should look at. Talent agencies, CAA, UTA, WME. Those are, I would say, talent agencies and private equity conglomerates, Apollo, BlackRock, dig into those two worlds, private equity and talent representation. They did a lot of M&A. They did a lot of executive stuff. They did a lot of building from a small base to a big base. Those are two good industries for you to focus on.
Mm. If you were building VaynerX again and you had nothing, what would you be doing differently or the same that you did? You look back at yourself and you're like, damn, that was pretty incredible. Or even when I had nothing, I could have leveraged it in a different way.
It's a good question. That's a hard question in that what I would say is I would still want to build, if it was today, it's pretty easy for me to answer. I'd still want to build the same thing, which is in several years, I want this to be this huge conglomerate. What I would do is I would have different services, right? I would be focusing on AI right now. I'd be focused on things that are of the moment that people don't have figured out that I could build on top of.
So good. When we were meeting in Vive and we had lunch, you had said something that I am still trying to wrap my mind around. And I was just like, what you essentially said was, are you going to pick up what I'm putting down? And you talked about acquiring a company like Cracker Jacks or Snapple and taking it from like a $40 million company that was once like a behemoth, and then you turning it into a $400 million company based on the principles of people who are actually getting what it is that you're trying to inculcate the current team with. So there's it felt like you were drawing a clear line in the sand of people who get it and then those who don't. And the people who get it are going to go on to this next iteration. And to me, I felt like, are you building the holding company specifically for that? Or would you just not start focusing on that acquisition? And does the team know that culturally?
The team knows, people like James and Andrea and other senior leaders, that my goal with VaynerX is to build a holding company that is the best marketing company in the world, then anoint an active CEO and stay on as chairman, and then go build a either private equity firm or a holding company of brands and build that company, and then take the best players from VaynerX over to the owned and operated businesses, from services to owned.
And that's been very open in the organization?
Yes, it's actually probably been very inspiring to the best players because they are self-selecting, I'm going to be the best and I'm going to go over to Snapple or Reebok when Gary buys it. That's one of the reasons I do believe the 1% of 1% here, are probably here because of that.
Wow. Damn. So then how are you identifying your 1%?
I'm in the trenches every day. I live this life.
Mm.
That's why I'm in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that it's almost like my Navy SEALs, right? This is an army, but I'm going to need my Navy SEALs when I go, and I'm not willing to guess.
Mm. That is so, and it's crazy because when I hear that, if I was working there, I would self-select and be like, it's boot camp. I'm going to boot camp. And so I wonder if that is part of the culture, because you know how you build, you attract more with honey. And so I was like, you come from this honey, but then there's also there's this really sharp edge to what it is that you're doing. And the balance of the two as a leader has been really inspiring. And so I wasn't sure how transparent you were with your team being like, oh, we're a honeycomb, but make no mistake.
Honey empire. You've heard it, it's real here.
But within the empire, what you're saying is also as a leader is this honeycomb is not going to be the honeycomb that is the next thing that I build. It's so empowering for me to see, and it's really invigorating because I want to be that transparent with my team. And so I don't want to have myself a false narrative. And I see you do it and it's positive and it's successful. And then you have somebody who's literally creeping on the call being like, truth, facts, giving you an amen. That's exactly the culture. This has been so helpful.
How are things?
Good, man. Thank you so much for the time, obviously, and putting together James and Andrea for Vive. It's been nothing short of my expectations. I think it's, like week 2 exceeded my expectations. Never mind, here we are, like 3/4 the way through it. So thank you for doing that as well.
That makes me so happy. We really have a lot of confidence in it. And it's not the easiest thing to like deliver on, given, there's a real fee behind it, but man, we knew it,
Yeah. So thank you for that. It's been awesome.
Good.
But anyways, just quick context to catch you back up to speed. Franchisor of Get Up and Go Kayaking. We have 32 locations now, 4 different states. Most of them are in Florida, but Texas, Tennessee, and North Carolina are the others. Really just focused on expansion. Just took on a director of franchise operations to kind of help with some of the operational side of things, free up a little bit of my mental capacity to focus on growing the business. But one of the big questions I had is about turning a commodity like kayak tours into more of a community. Like, how do I turn my customers into super fans? What are things that you would do to make that happen?
I think extending the story, meaning, creating a digital infrastructure, whether it's on text, whether it's on a closed Facebook group, like, a Discord. Where can you put everyone digitally that they can interact with you and them is like a really big deal.
Yeah, we do the closed Facebook and the text group, and those have been great. I love just popping on the text group and
talk to me a little bit more about that. So if you've done that, what's going on with that, and what hasn't allowed that to feel like a community to you?
Yeah, I think it's mostly because I'm the one initiating the conversation and I want them to initiate the conversation. So how do I get them more engaged from that side of things? Similar to the way that you text your community, like I'll just show up randomly and say, hey, hope you're having a good Tuesday, and a lot of people reply being like, oh my God, thanks so much. And it's amazing, but like, how do I get them to initiate that, is I think the next level of community.
Yeah, I mean, I think you, and do you have a Discord or no?
No Discord, no, just the Facebook group and the texting group.
And what's happening with the Facebook group?
Facebook group, we typically like repurpose some of our content so that it's more Facebook-ish friendly, not as like we'll repurpose a lot of our blog content in shorter form just to deliver, hey, here's 5 restaurants we recommend in this area, or here's some other things you can do while you're visiting this area. And it's just been a lot of us kind of giving tips and little like local knowledge things in there. But again, it's a lot of us being the ones that are initiating the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think doing Q&A sessions, doing this, like Google Meetout, like get them more physical. Go to that text group and Facebook group and put out a Google URL hangout and be like, I'm here next Wednesday, the 14th from 7 to 10 answering questions. I think that will take you to the next level.
Cool. Yeah.
It will work. And you just build off of it, and then you record it, and then you take a snippet from it, and then you post it on social, and you tell people how to sign up for the text to get into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Next question I've got for you. So I've heard you say a few times, like reporting on brand is kind of like Santa Claus, right? Like it's this thing that it's hard to put a
I actually think it's more like love and God. I think it's like real.
Okay.
But impossible to measure.
Yeah.
Santa Claus is fake, obviously. Love is probably the one I probably want to like love. I think you and I would sit here and say, because even with God, you can get a little fluffy, but I think love.
Yep.
If you and I said, is that a good thing? Is it powerful? Does it matter? I mean, the shit that people do for love is everything, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
how I feel about brand. It's everything.
Yeah.
But how to measure that? Justin, who do you love?
My wife, my
Right.
mom.
Let's start with that. Your wife. What math are you like? It's what?
Yeah.
That's brand, brother.
Yeah.
I can't measure. Do you know right now, my brand? Right now, I'm gonna keep it humble, but not like not too humble. Right now, there's 100 conversations going on in the world about me. Where someone's saying something, 87% probably positive, which is gonna be good.
So on the franchisor side of like selling my brand to people, you know, what do I focus on there?
Your efforts, who you like, that becomes about you, like the content, like how you do it, like it just becomes like the demand. They care about their perception on how much demand you can create. Right?
Yeah.
The franchisor, you know, is going to make a decision based on the demand you can create. So for example, I would focus a lot on your ability to be good at 20-mile social media marketing, because if you're pitching me and you're like, hey, let me show you a screen, I'm going to do all this shit within a 20-mile radius of Manhattan for you. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
That's it. Because you're in a thing that people are passionate about. Like people actually, like a lot of people would actually love to run this business, right? Because you're in a extreme passion point. Your issue is you've got to convince them that you can help them get customers.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
That's your biz.
Yeah, and I guess I can just use the history of the business and the history of the other franchisees as that leverage, right?
And I would always pitch them modern examples.
Okay.
Like if you spent an extra 30 minutes of like doing some screenshots of back-end Facebook ads, like where do you sit on that skill set?
Yeah, I feel like I'm above average with everything ad related. Yeah.
So I would make an above average 2-minute video or 10-page deck per franchisor, or like groups of franchisors. Like if you did an event just in Colorado and there's 21 perspectives there on Zoom or in a room, in that video or deck, you're showing 7 miles from Boulder, this piece of content, why are all the day trading attention shit, like prove to them you're a marketer.
Yeah. Yeah. This year we have, thanks to day trading attention, we have over probably 120 million organic views already. So it's been.
Has day trading attention helped?
Yes. Yeah. So I have a community manager also, and I forced her to read it. I was like, Gary's saying it's it's his onboarding tool for his own employees. Like, you've got to read it. And so she's read it, and she does a lot of our socials, and we've just been crushing it.
Say that like it really helped her?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I enjoyed it too. I'm not much of a reader, so I listen to the audio version. I love all the little tangents you take on there too, which is fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. One other thing too. So Manny is actually helping us do a mascot, and we talked at 4Ds last year about how important mascots are. You brought up the Duolingo example, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole of like.
And how'd you get to Manny?
Andrea and James hooked me up with Manny, so yeah, it was perfect. But next step is like, okay, we've got the mascot. Like, how do we introduce this to our community? What are the ways that we actually leverage this mascot in a way that, like, I feel like we fall on more of the high-end luxury side of kayak tours. We do, clear kayaking, and the price point is higher than most kayak tours, if not all kayak tours in our area. Like, how do I introduce it in a way that's not like too childish and feels, but still makes sense as a mascot?
You got to try different shit.
Okay.
I would go to TikTok where you can get away with it.
Yeah.
And try a bunch of different fucking shit.
Okay.
Consume all the Duolingo stuff, all the Jake from State Farm stuff, Geico, just consume and then replicate and see what it does.
Okay.
Consume, replicate with the interpretation of your world.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think that's in the form of like actually building like a physical mascot like Duolingo has, or do you think you keep it digital?
I think so.
Okay.
Or you go very AI, like
Yeah.
I think, I mean, both could work, but I think with your product, I think just by nature, it's funny to see a big fucking like character fall off a canoe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Last quick one for you. We had our call with Damon John a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. And he had brought up something that kind of stuck with me a little bit, that something like it's 25 times more expensive to obtain new customers than it is to kind of like upsell current customers or just retain your current customers.
Yeah.
So like, how do I do a better job of
this? Get people into Google. This goes back to the first part. That's your community thing.
Yeah.
Just give a fuck.
Yeah.
Text all of them and ask them what their birthday is if you don't have it.
Yeah.
Like, it's scaling unscalable behavior.
Yeah. Cool.
It's this.
Yeah, literally.
I mean, like, this is beyond not ROI positive for me.
Yeah.
But like, I want the karma. I want the good,
Yeah.
I start talking with Dr. Natasha,
Yes.
and she has been like working with me in more deep way to understand how I react in the past, right? And like be less make less judgment with myself.
Judgmental to yourself. I just got done doing a podcast literally 30 minutes ago where half of the conversation I had was about people being judgmental to others, which actually then leads to them being judgmental on themselves, even at a young age.
Okay.
And that being judgmental on yourself, and some people are not judgmental of others, but they are on themselves.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to hear that. I would argue that all of my happiness comes from the fact that I'm not judgmental of myself, that I give myself a lot of grace.
Yes.
And I think most people do not.
Yeah, that's and I don't know, Gary. Well, when you are an entrepreneur, you are super hard with yourself, right?
You're accountable because there's nowhere to hide.
Correct. Yeah.
But for me, losing is a requirement.
Okay.
And most people try to avoid losing at all costs.
Correct.
I'm always ready to lose everything, let alone little things. A bad deal, a bad vibe.
Yes.
After I was done working with James and Andrea, my brain goes to what happens if you didn't say this. I know it's going well, but what if it didn't? I already made the mental commitment that I would have to spend a lot of time making it up to you and everybody else, which was a stupid thing because my time is very valuable.
Yeah.
But I was willing to go there, and my body and emotion had already been prepared for it not to work.
Correct. Exactly.
Got it? So as you can imagine, it's just the way I see the world. I'm always prepared to lose.
But in that, if you are in that position, you are like on the defensive way all the time?
Believe it or not, it's the reverse. I'm prepared for it, which then makes me grateful for when things are going well. It's actually the reverse.
Okay.
It's counterintuitive.
Okay.
It's not crippling.
Okay.
It's just preparation.
Well, that is a good point. Yeah.
And in fact, it leads to enormous gratitude. By virtue of how I've lived my life, I'm deeply grateful. Every day my parents don't die is a good day.
Yeah.
Every day my company doesn't go out of,
Yeah.
Really though,
Yeah,
it becomes your perspective.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I agree. And this is interesting, Gary, because I don't know if I'm having the right attitude, but since we sold the company, I don't have the same
Fire,
passion
yeah.
or fire. Is that correct?
I think so. Normally, this goes back to giving yourself grace today.
Okay.
You don't have the same passion and fire today.
Okay.
It doesn't mean forever. Of course you don't. How could you?
Yeah. But I feel bad with myself because I should be like in the front line, like moving the team that I have behind me, pushing them hard.
You can't judge yourself for passion. That'd be like judging yourself for not falling in love with somebody who's good on paper.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Okay.
It's just not something that's controllable,
Okay.
you know?
So I don't have to feel bad because of that. Yeah.
Did you see how I reacted? Doesn't even cross my mind that you could.
Mhm.
It's a different game.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
No, now, being accountable and responsible and grinding through, but judging yourself for this lack of same passion, that's crazy.
Okay.
That's an impossible requirement.
Yeah, but I wonder if I'm going to feel the same fire that I used to feel for my first company.
Of course, the answer is you might not.
Uh-huh.
That's okay. Not trying to is the problem.
Okay.
Not ever feeling that same way. That's just how life plays.
Yes.
Sometimes think about all the people whose first love was who they should have married, right?
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Yes, exactly.
But when you're ready to look for the next thing, not trying to find that fire again, that's a loss.
Uh-huh.
If you're capable and but not don't fear that you can't have seller's remorse.
Mm-hmm.
It's over,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, maybe.
It's the least practical emotion of all time.
Yes.
The least practical emotion is looking backwards.
Yes, that's true.
It's just
Maybe I
there's-
feel bad with myself because I'm.
that's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of being grateful, there's 8 billion people on Earth. 700 million of them don't have access to clean water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Look at what you've accomplished. Look at your life.
that's true.
But that's what you have. This is about perspective.
Yeah, totally. Maybe I'm focusing in small things. It
100.
should be, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're a human being. We all get caught up in that. But that's not what you should be thinking about.
Yeah. And what you think will be my perspective after we finish the
Burnout?
program? Yeah.
Oh, the vibe?
Yeah, the vibe program.
I think everyone's going to get different things out of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's one sentence and this is what's so amazing about the program. We could have one of the things we just talked about could be more valuable than everything else.
Yes.
Dr. Natasha, James, Andre introducing you. That's why we're so confident.
Yes. Yeah.
There's so many pillars of value, and every person's on a different journey.
Okay.
I just spoke to Jasmine and you. I got more today. People are in different places.
Yeah.
My hope is that it's relationships and perspective
Mm-hmm.
and strategy.
Okay.
There's just so many places.
Yeah.
What do you feel that you're getting the most out of it? Self-awareness?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. Guess what? The single most valuable thing one can learn. Really.
Yeah, it's true. Okay.
Really.
Okay.
And relationship, I get excited about knowing that if you email me in 7 years, Gary, I saw you with this person, I need them for my new company, that's what I get excited about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, something that interesting that I've been thinking in the past days, over the few years in the relationship we have with Vayner Group, we have been growing as a company, as a person. And actually, I was in a meeting this morning here in the room, in the conference room, and we landed a project that I've been chasing for 2 months. And I was like, please give me this project. And I don't know, every time that I put my feet here, some magic comes. It's like you have something. You have something. I really admire that.
I think it's good intent. I believe in spirituality and the things we can't see a little bit more than most.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's good intent.
Uh-huh.
I think most things are, especially in business, are not well intended.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that's true.
I leave a lot of money on the table for that something special. A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It costs money to create something special.
How you sleep with that?
By not trying to maximize on money.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I promise you saying that sentence makes me feel better than an extra couple of bucks.
Okay.
That's how. For me.
Okay.
But if somebody else wants to make more money, then that's their,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just comfortable in my self-awareness. I know what makes me tick.
fantastic. I just want to say thank you, Gary, and I have thousands of questions for you. To be honest, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, be in front of you, like, this is new for me, right? And I just need a good advice because I have few mentors. James is one of them. But I want to have a good advice about entrepreneurship because I'm about to start my second company. I have a lot of fears inside me, doubts about me. I don't know why.
Listen, it's DNA. It's how you were parented, circumstances. It's okay. We all have them, in different reasons, different ways. You might know something real that you're not willing to like fully get out of the back of your head yet. So you know what I mean?
Yes.
You may know that you don't. For example, even spending a few minutes with you, you know what it takes. So you might. One of your fears is that you don't have the same fire in your belly because it requires that.
And I feel terrible. I feel that I want to cry because I said this is not me.
Now you're set on your idea.
Yeah.
Set.
It's set. Yeah.
Maybe it's not the right idea, and maybe you know it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Trust your instincts.
Okay.
It's even if it costs you like, do you know how many times I've spent like real money
Mm-hmm.
and then at the last minute pulled the plug?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Is necessary as an entrepreneur give that chance to give the block like
Is it a requirement to be willing to pull the plug? 100%.
okay.
If you really feel like the idea is not as good as, you might not like the idea as much as you used to. That's why you don't have the fire.
Yeah. Well, I cannot start my company right away because
Yep,
I'm
of course.
so I'm starting producing a blog in order to start.
Do you like the idea?
I have the idea.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it.
Do you love it?
Not yet.
That is everything. That's what we need to figure out.
Okay.
I need to go to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Write down all your questions for me, even if it's 130 of them,
Perfect.
and email it to me, and I'll schedule some more time.
Thank you so much.
We have 15 minutes and I have 2 questions for you. The first is a personal question, one for me, and then the second one I actually sourced from my audience if they could ask you anything.
That's awesome.
So the second one is for the group. So my first question actually expands, and I brought this because I need you to sign it
course.
afterwards
I'll do
or
it.
right
I'll do
now,
it now.
yes.
I want to make sure I spell this right. All right,
You're amazing, thank you.
of course.
Okay, so my first question is about a scenario that you talked in this book, and I'm going to quote you. I'm hoping that the people in this scenario are 2 years away from writing a book versus 2 months from writing a book, because then that's going to give them a much better chance of achieving what they want. So 2 years from now, I would love to publish a children's book, and you are in the middle, yes, of launching Meet Me in the Middle. So I'm really curious what you did 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago to prepare for today, for now to have a successful book launch.
I amassed more skills of creating awareness and amassed more audience depth to have an ability to create conversion. Right? So lots of people, like, if you come up with a great story, you have the capacity of getting a publisher to be excited about writing a children's book. Having a successful children's book is a whole different game. It's called being able to sell.
Yeah.
Publishers can't sell. This is the great misnomer of the publishing industry. Literally, they do no selling. You would think, I thought when I wrote Crush It, they have, their sales team are order takers. They don't sell to Barnes and Nobles. They just take how many books Barnes and Nobles tell them they want. So I think the key to think about is not just being able to achieve getting a book made, which is a B2B behavior.
Yeah.
Serendipity,
Yeah.
subjective opinions. The B2C part of actually being able there, I think the question becomes whether it's podcast or newsletter or you know, Discord or social media, or like, how are you going to build an audience that will convert?
For the last 18 months, I've been focused on organic growth, and it's gone well. I'm happy about that, and I want to continue to grow the community because I understand the commerciality of it, that
Yes.
you need a marketable platform.
Yes.
Do you, through all of your books, you've written so many and so many bestsellers, do you have a formula that you go back to when it comes, like you have a 24-month formula of just growth, and then what is your game plan when you know the shelf date?
When I really want to sell,
Yeah.
I incentivize bulk behavior.
Okay. Tell me more.
So when you write the book, if you say, for everybody, I'm going to create a 50 girls club. For everybody who buys 50 copies of the book to give to all their nieces and nephews and donate to schools and whatever the heck you want to do with it, for the first 50 people that buy 50 of these books on pre-order and email me the receipt to prove it, we're going to get together once a month for the next 3 months, all 50 of us, with me for 5 hours once a month with all 50 people in a private room in a restaurant or wherever the heck you figure out you can afford to do that.
Okay.
So that would be a for instance.
Right.
To talk about, you know, mom life or mom balancing business life or the context of your book. So bundling experiences that create scaled sales, and also the book getting out there by word of mouth from the people that actually bought it.
Yeah.
By you trading access to you.
Okay, that's so interesting. And so it was a direct to consumer behavior, but you're driving bulk.
Yeah, this is a good example of it actually. Enough. I sold 100,000 copies of Ask GaryVee in the first week. And that was, so this was back in 2016.
Okay.
The top left corner is how many books were sold on BookScan that week.
Okay.
I sold 100,000 copies. The second biggest book in the world that week sold 11,000 copies.
And you did this with your...
I did it with what I just told you. There were so many different ways to buy 25 books or 50 books or 100 books, and just a lot of people did it. But I had to sacrifice my biggest asset, which was time.
Time. Okay. That's fascinating. So, but you have millions of... When did you start doing this?
Yeah, you know what's so funny? I mean, like, I sold less copies at Day Trading Attention than I did there, and that was 8 years ago, and I'm much bigger now.
Yeah. Did you do the bulk?
Not really. This
Yeah.
one I knew I wrote a really good book, and I'm too busy.
You did.
And so
You wrote a textbook.
Yeah. And it was like a good one. Like, I knew
Yeah.
I was about to like help a lot of people, and like the word of mouth would carry it. But in that scenario, if you have 100 people that think you're the best, you're off to the races.
Is there a number in your mind that you would say this makes a commercially successful book? Is it different from children's books?
It is. Yeah. It is. The answer is, what are you trying to make happen?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to be on a New York Times best-selling list for vanity or brand leverage, then there's some number. I don't know what that is in kids' books yet. If you're just trying to make it a financial instrument, well, that's actually based on your advance.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Thank you. I'm going to pivot to my second question because I want to make the most of our time. My second question is around personal branding. And why do you think it's important for corporate executives? It's a two-part question. Why do you think it's important for corporate executives to build their brand? And how is it a benefit to the brands that they serve?
I'll go to the harder question, number 2.
Yeah.
People buy from people.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, I'm not going to go to the extreme of Elon Musk and Tesla, but even, I mean, I see it every day on LinkedIn, B2B SaaS companies, where the head of product makes a video and people like that they're wearing a shirt. I literally know this story, what I'm about to tell you, to be true. A head of product made a boring video that had 70 freaking views on LinkedIn, but he was wearing a Bears t-shirt, and somebody bought their SaaS product because they're a Bears fan too.
Yeah.
Because people buy from people.
Yeah.
On the first part, there's endless reasons why. Every
Right.
corporate executive knows. One, if you have a personal brand, that's called reputation.
Yeah.
It leads to a bigger demand market if, God forbid, you get fired out of nowhere.
Right.
Two, if you do it really do it, it becomes what I am. You become a practitioner of marketing. The biggest issue for corporate executives is they're living in ivory towers. The reason we're so unstoppable is because I, the CEO of the company, am in the craft. Like literally in the craft, meaning this is me literally writing the copy to a post at 11 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
So what really gets great about building a personal brand in social is if you're the practitioner of it, you actually learn skills by building your personal brand that you can deploy against the logo.
Yeah. I believe this, and I think you're spot on. I actually think it would be a really interesting post or a reel that I've been thinking about is how creating content actually made me better in the boardroom.
I promise you it's incredibly needed and your voice is needed on it.
Yeah.
It's practitionership.
It's also a minority opinion right now, and I think,
Of course.
and I think that that's the challenging thing is.
The good news is all the best opinions start as minority opinions.
You're
There's
right.
not a single. When I wrote Crush It, that book, top left corner, I wrote it in 08, came out in 09. The premise of that book is basically you can make money being an influencer.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yourself.
The first 100 responses to the idea was this is complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah.
Nobody can make $100,000 a year on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Oh, wow. What a time.
What a time. So I think that the best part of that is you'll have the receipts
Yeah.
when you're a young woman.
Yeah. I have people who literally, and I screenshot them so I have the receipts, that are like, I love Bugaboo now because you're a mom and you talk about
100%.
being a mom and running this stroller
I'm
company.
empathetic to why any board would be scared that a CEO or any CEO would be scared that a CMO becomes the face of the brand.
Yeah.
But then they're quick to give a celebrity money who's just a rented one. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
They have it so backwards.
Yeah. That's a soundbite right there.
Right?
Right.
We're not we're gonna keep our CMO down because we don't want her to get too big and then she might go to Coca-Cola.
Right.
But let's go give 4 times more money to somebody who we rent for an hour.
Right. I never thought of it that way. I just like my mind is blown right now because that's celebrity and influencer marketing today.
That's a very winnable sentence in a boardroom.
That's like back pocket.
Yeah.
Wild card.
I wanted to give it to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want you to know that I've taken pages out of day trading attention, have brought it directly to my team, and we have completely re-evolved how we approach our experiences and our events to be social first.
Love.
And what do you call it? The sawdust?
Yes.
Yes. I'm like, what is the sawdust?
I'm literally leaving right this second to do a Barnes & Noble book signing for
I know,
this
I'm going to it.
for one reason.
Yeah.
The content.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
All the other nice stuff, shake some hand, kiss some babies, thrilled. Definitely not to sell books.
Right. Right.
50 books? Like that's like a.
So you approach everything through the lens of how does this become a snackable content?
When Fortune 5000
Yeah.
companies realize that organic social creative is the disproportionate most important part of the entire media mix, is when they will start to grow. Every company is allocating 80% of their marketing budget to working media dollars to amplify bad content.
Yes. That's another thing that we did is we took our best performing organic pieces and we started running them.
As performance.
Yes. Brandformance.
Go figure.
Yes.
Miraculously.
And then we're looking at the data and they're like, the ones that we created are outperforming in terms of click and view, seconds viewed. And I'm like, oh my God, it's working. It's working.
Yeah, I mean, the best part about me writing books is I write them after I proved it.
Yeah.
I'm not guessing.
Right. Creating proof of concept. What are you working on next?
Honestly, I'm very deep in COO life. Even though I'm CEO,
Yeah.
I'm operationalizing us to be the best in the world at this.
Yeah.
That's it.
I wanted to tell you one of your newest ventures that you have, Vive.
Yes.
I'm in this program.
Yes.
Has unlocked so many things for me.
That's awesome. I believe in it so much.
Yeah, and it relates to my second question, which is why personal branding, why investing in this, what it can do, how to do it the right way, what are the tactics, what are the tools. And I've also gotten so much from the personal coaching aspect.
Yes.
I'm working with Natasha,
Yeah.
and she's created this tailored individual business plan for me.
That's great.
And thank you for
course.
having me as part of the
course.
inaugural
Inaugural
class. Yes.
Of course.
And thank you for your time, and thank you
course.
for sharing and being
Of course,
so
of course.
generous. Yeah.
So such a pleasure. How are things?
Things are good. You have a black eye.
Yes, I took an elbow in basketball.
Oh, good, good.
How are
I'm
things?
happy it wasn't on your way up here to meet with me because you were so excited. You ran so fast.
How are things?
Things are good.
Good.
Got this yesterday.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Well, I'm so happy to talk to you. Let's get started.
Yeah, what can I answer for you? What will bring you the most value?
Of course, it's what I don't know that I need to know.
Yep.
I met you 11 years ago at a Tony Robbins conference.
Yep.
Went back to my room that night, got on Facebook, started running ads. That's $360 million later. And here we are. I didn't take all that advice,
So amazing.
but I got in touch with the customers, did something that was pretty rare, able to build a brand, 2 brands actually, to national without outside capital and without selling my soul.
Yep. I remember our chat over at 35 Hudson Yards. So the whole retail media, all this stuff. Is there anything that you'd love to double click on? Is it the advertising? Is the business strategy? Is it staffing? Is it anything?
Yeah, business strategy. There's been obviously a lot of changes over the years, especially with social media and all of that. So we always wanted to make our product available to everyone in this country that needed it. So we put it in a store next to them. They could run down and get that product. They didn't have to wait for shipping. The whole game has changed. Now that Amazon's in there, they're oftentimes getting shipping same day. We still need to get the word out. So I'm curious about the best way to invest. To do both, we have to build the brand awareness. We also have to build that customer path to purchase.
I think it's all based. I mean, I literally did an offsite last week in Los Angeles with a small team building out a deck where, let me give you this example, back to competing with bigger things. This is a little bit off the record, but I want to give you value. Gap is a multi-billion-dollar company, Gap Inc. So it's Gap, it's what's in their portfolio? Banana Republic, and one more in there. So it's a big business. And then there's a t-shirt company called Cuts. Cuts is a brand new t-shirt company in the last 5 years. They only do revenue. Cuts spends a year on organic social media.
Yeah.
On organic. Do you know Cakes, which is like the bra, the Spanx, or like what's right?
Mm-hmm.
They have grown in revenue this year from they're only a couple years old because they made a full commitment to organic social media.
Okay.
And when you do organic, the AI of the news feed, the algorithm, the feed is so good now over the last 24 months. It shows you what's good content. And then, so you're building brand, but then you take that good content and you turn it into performance ads.
Okay. We're doing that on a limited. We're running 2 content posts a week right now with Sasha. And I'm thinking we need to do much more and continually test and learn, take it.
My belief is that, quote unquote, Sasha, hopefully when we're at our best, we know what we're doing. The issue is we think that there's an extreme underinvestment in creative, organic, and an overinvestment in media that is wasted on creative that could have been better. So let's break it down. how much does your business right now spend on, including Sasha fees, how much do you spend on social media organic creative?
No, about
So that's, how much do you spend on media?
oh goodness, much less than that. We're about
So what's the net number? How much do you spend on media?
we just did a change up. It's close to about
Got it. So that's it. That's what you spend on marketing? Though, three.
yeah. Overall, all marketing overall is under of our gross revenues.
That's, do you do revenue or do you do more or less?
Yeah, so we're in revenue.
Understood. So where's the other going?
Oh goodness. Geez, off the top of my mind, it's more going to our retailer, the shopper spends that they do, the shopper marketing plans. They're not nearly as effective.
I know, but you have
The
to do it.
social that runs through the ad targeting through the Facebook and the
But
zip
you have
codes.
to stay in the store, right?
Yes.
Just looking at one thing. Yeah. So to me, the question is, how do we get what the that's spent on media? Is that pure performance or is that amplification of the brand content from Sasha?
It's both. It's both.
And what about,
We definitely want the brand awareness. So we're doing Meta, which, does with the strong hook. TikTok is good for us too. Problem solver is captivating. They're learning from that. We're not doing anything on
creative are you doing?
myself. I post about 5 times a week across a few different platforms. I've always enjoyed the community part of it.
I'm texting the team to do an audit on everything Sasha's doing, just to see if there's anything that we can maximize there.
I know one thing, Gary. Everybody's happy if they hear about us and they walk into a store to buy our product, or they come to buy it from us, or they go to Amazon, right? There's 100 million homes out there, and a good 70% of them, I think, could use our product if they learned about it.
How many podcasts are you going on a week or a month or a year?
Not enough. Maybe 3 a year.
3 a year?
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest strategic focus. I think you should be going on podcasts just for the content. Yeah. Just for the content. I would go on even tiny podcasts that are in your niche to hitting the kind of right demo, just so that we can post-produce the content from the thing for more ad. I think that's the key. My number one performing wine text ad is me doing a radio show.
Yeah. Well, some of our best content has been when I've made something and it was just a impromptu thing that turned out.
I think more of you, so you don't have a lot more money to spend on making more, but you have your time, which makes more. Got it?
And my heart.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the whole company's built on your intent.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is already secondary. That's a given. Nobody knows your intent or heart if they don't see you.
True that.
Right?
Yeah.
Kara, I think the most practical thing on those numbers of than spending, on advertising, I think the right move for you is to spend more time on podcasts and then clipping the clips from those podcasts and putting them into organic. And when they do well on organic, turning them into a performance ad.
That's great.
That's the thing I would do if I bought the business tomorrow and we were partners. That's what I would spend my time on.
Okay.
What else?
That is a good to know.
I think that's the one, because what we need is more content from you,
Yeah.
but you don't have the dollars to spend on it. Before instead, just see what's happening here.
Well, I
Go ahead.
got a lot of ideas from your book.
Thank you.
The section in there of all the examples. Oh, golden. I got a list of things to do.
Look, I think the founder story is doing better and better and better. And I think that Earthkind would really benefit from you being on a podcast once a week with the intent of getting 1 to 3 clips out.
Okay.
So now we got to figure out how to get you on those podcasts.
Got it. Well, yeah.
Are you able to look at the podcast rankings on Spotify and Apple and in your categories of health, wellness, all that stuff, business, whatever it might be, female empowerment, entrepreneurship, all of it? I think you should make a list of, all the things you could see yourself on, and then maybe I can call in some favors and we should attack it.
Great. I love it. I have one question.
Please.
I'm a visionary. You're a visionary. I heard you so many years ago. You said where things were going. I met Brian Chatsky, and he told me if you do nothing but vision, focus on your vision, think of it, talk about it, hire around it, align resources around it, you'll have $1 billion business within 10 years.
Right.
I didn't take his advice because I thought, well, that's an easy thing to say. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs wanting to start something and they have this big idea, they want to change the world? What would you say?
That they need to harness that into communicating to, if you want to change the world, you need to talk to the world.
Mm-hmm.
I have big ambitions to change the world. I talk to the world every day.
Amen. Articulating a vision in a way people can see it and taste it is much harder than most entrepreneurs realize.
I think that's a brilliant statement. And then the other thing is, many that can articulate it don't say it often enough in enough places at scale.
Yeah.
That's where you're at right now.
Yes.
I need you out and about. I need more content from you, and I want it to be free, which is in essence is you going on podcasts.
That's golden.
I think so. Kari, remind me, where do you live?
I'm in North Carolina.
That's right.
Yeah. NASCAR country.
Oh, I know it well. I'm on the board of Bojangles.
I'm right around the corner from Kid Rock's place. And yeah, we were just, yeah.
All right.
It's a great community here.
An amazing community. I'm going to follow up with Sasha to see if there's anything tweaks there, but I need you to focus on podcasting. Email me if you need anything.
Thank you.